I did it. I've literally crawled into 2019. Because, like an alcoholic ne'er-do-well brother who's been sleeping on your couch, who's finally getting his life back on track, 2018 is out of here. 2019 has just moved in, and it's time for us to move on to the year that is new by looking at the year that was old. Holy moly, that was far more work than I thought it would be, just for this little crawling visual metaphor. Whew. Man, I'm out of shape. Okay, let's do this. Alright, how do I look? Do I look good? I was gonna wear like a suit or like some fancy clothes to make me look a little bit better, like make it like an award ceremony kind of thing, but then I realized, nah, I don't want to do that, because I find those award things at the end of the year videos that YouTube people do, I find it a little pretentious, and it's not really something that I enjoy doing, so I just put on a shirt that was washed recently, and that's good enough, and it should be good enough for you. You should know who I am at this point. Also, going along with that whole I'm not into the award ceremony gig, I'm not going to be giving out like awards to my favorite blah 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 of the year. I'm more just going to talk about different things in different categories, just stuff I found worthy of discussion, good or bad, that I didn't already dedicate video time to. So without any further ado, let's talk about some stuff. Anime. I kind of had a down year for anime, not because I thought all of it was bad, but because my free time has been gashed so significantly thanks to everything else that I do, including my 40-hour-a-week, 9-to-5 job, my writing projects that I've undertaken over the last year, plus everything else that I play, watch, streaming, like everything that I do. It's really kind of taken away time from just where I used to be a few years ago, where I would just watch anything I could get my grubby little pea-stained hands on. That feels like a joke steal. But because of that, I tend to watch a lot of anime. I kind of front-load it at the beginning of seasons, and then as I realize that stuff is shit, I just kind of like, I don't want to watch that no more. And we'll just leave that off screen over there. Because that over there is where the garbage is. And that's where that bad anime goes. In the garbage. A place further than the universe. This is one of those series that I took a look at and I was like, it looks like a bubblegummy, cutesy, slice of life type anime. And it was, but it's way better than I'd have ever thought. And I think that might be from the fact that I had no expectations for it, but it ended up being cute, it ended up being heartwarming. It was a really well done series. If you are going to watch it, the story is that 4 high school girls go on a trip to Antarctica for like a high school research mission kind of thing. I watched this many months ago, I don't really remember. But they go to Antarctica, that's the whole point of what they're doing. And you might be like, oh, okay, it's like they're doing the anime girl thing where they do something like, whoa, that's way outside of the scope of anything I'd have ever expected an anime girl to do. And yeah, it does have that. Like, they do push themselves to pretty incredible lengths to go to Antarctica, because that is a very difficult journey to make, and I am not being facetious. And I am speaking as if I have some sort of knowledge. I don't. I just know that I've watched enough documentaries. That's fucking hard to do. They do a lot of, like, bubblegummy things. Like, they're all, like, cutesy. They do a lot of that. They're like, penguins! But I can't say that I wouldn't be the same way, you know? Like, if I were going on a trip to Antarctica and I saw a penguin, I would freak out. Like a high school girl in an anime. It is easy to dismiss it, but you gotta keep in mind, there's actually some pretty heavy stuff going on the back end of this series. Like, one of the character's main motivations is that her mother was a researcher in Antarctica, and she went there, and she got trapped in a blizzard and died, and that's why she's resolved to go to Antarctica herself. That's pretty heavy stuff for a cutesy show about girls going to Antarctica and hugging a penguin. Sells at work. So this one I had a little bit more expectation for. It's also cutesy like in another universe, but this one had far more going on behind it because it was done by David Production, and those are the guys behind JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So even if you see something cutesy from them, or really whenever I see they're involved with anything, I'm like, that show's probably got a lot of pressure to be really good because it's by those guys. And they did a really great job with Cells at Work. I found it to be a really entertaining series. It's about your body, like from like an Osmosis Jones standpoint, but not like weird like Osmosis Jones, where everything in your body is a society, and everything inside it is alive, and the cells and platelets and everything is represented by humanoid characters, whereas the infections and diseases are all represented by these monsters, and it's really fun. So it's bubblegummy too, just gotta keep more bubblegum. But there's also this, like, twinge of psychosis to it, because you have your main character as a red blood cell, and her job is to deliver oxygen throughout the body, and she's kind of a bumbling fool, and she's constantly getting lost, and she needs to be saved by the white blood cell, who is a Bowie knife-wielding psychopath who loses his mind every time he has to battle one of the infections. It's kind of incredible. And the show balances that dichotomy really well. Like, it's a good mix of action and comedy and cute moments and absolute nonsense. Like, it's really fun. There's a lot of entertainment value to be had from this series. I highly recommend that people watch it, because it was just, I had a big dumb grin on my face the entire time, and even right now talking about it, I get the same kind of goofy grin I had on my face while I was watching it. So check it out. Angels of Death. It's a new world, baby! And I don't want to talk about Angels of Death, because it's bad. Although, I guess, I did think I was having this internal debate about whether or not I wanted to talk about Goblin Slayer, but then I figured, you know what, Goblin Slayer is probably a better topic for a different video that I have in mind, and Angels of Death is hilariously bad, whereas Goblin Slayer is, like, think PC bad. So how do I describe Angels of Death? Well, it's the edgelord's dream. This is the kind of anime that you watch if you still haven't quite gotten rid of your My Chemical Romance playlist. And I mean like your knockoff My Chemical Romance, because like My Chemical Romance was actually good. This is like those like knockoff bands who tried to like ape their success. This is like if you haven't gotten rid of your Simple Plan playlist. It's that edgy. The story is of a young girl named reissued Gardner. And she wakes up in a weird building, she doesn't know how she got there, and she's like, I need to leave, because this is how, I mean, I'd be the same way. I woke up in a strange building and be like, this ain't my house, I should leave. That's what I would do. So as she's wandering around this building, she runs into Isaac Foster. And yes, everybody has English names, and it's lovely. I thought that was the best part, because it still makes me laugh. Is that a little playfully problematic? Yeah, it is. I fully admit it, and it's funny to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, English makes me laugh. You cannot watch that scene in Steins Gates where he goes, "It's a kuru, son of a bitch," and not laugh. That's comedy, damn it. Stay on topic. This is why we write scripts. In Angels of Death, which they meet up, and Isaac Foster is a psychopathic, scythe-wielding murder man, and the two of them come to an agreement. Rachel says, you know what, Zach? I will solve these kindergarten-level puzzles for you and help us both escape this building if you kill me. That's what she wants. She wants him to murder her with a scythe in the face. It's bananas. Makes absolutely no sense. There's like a weird doctor character. His name is Dr. Danny, and he like injects himself with an extra eyeball, I think, and they go off model with him a lot, and he looks like he's like a weird snake man. So when they go off model with his character animation, he looks like a Kappa, and he's a big fucking weirdo, and that kind of describes the entire series, and it's based off of a video game, and I really want to track it down and play it because holy crap, the anime was absolute Looney Tune. Video games. So video games, I didn't have a down year in the same way I did for like anime. I played quite a bit in terms of hours put in and number of titles played, but the thing is, a lot of them weren't from 2018. I kind of played a lot of backlog games, or, you know, I started streaming in 2018, so a lot of the games that I ended up completing were for the stream, and they were not necessarily brand spanking new, and the ones that weren't very good, and I kind of have different things planned for them. Fall Streak will get yours. So, unfortunately, this section is gonna be older stuff. Sorry. Tales of Hearts R. This probably won't be a surprise to anybody, considering I was gushing about Tales of Berseria last year and Tales of Zestiria before it. I've really gotten into the Tales of series as of late, and I've wanted to go back and play some of the older games, and I happen to have Tales of Hearts R for the Vita that I'd had but didn't play for any multitude of reasons. So I decided in 2018 to just pick it up and play it, and I'm really glad I did because I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. It was really great. I beat it in about 30 hours, which is, oh man, just mwah, perfect for an RPG. You know, the combat system is great, the world is really interesting, even though I think the main character is a little weak. I found him kind of bland, he's a bit of a tropey dope, which some of the other characters kind of fall into that a little bit too. But there are some really great characters. Personally, I think Chalcedony is the best. I really, really like his arc. And he's also fun to play around with in the game, like in the combat system, because his moveset is pretty radically different from everybody else's, plus he can fly, so that makes him pretty interesting to use in terms of combat. I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say about Tales of Hearts R. It was just a really good game that I really enjoyed playing, in spite of the fact that the main character's name is Core Meteor and he wears a lightning bolt jumpsuit. Like a massive dork. I mean, I couldn't wear that shit. I mean, I would. Mass Effect Andromeda. Don't let your dreams be memes, kids. And oh boy, was Mass Effect Andromeda ever a meme. So I played Mass Effect Andromeda this year under the hopes that I could get a good laugh out of it because, you know, memes, and it was on sale on the PlayStation Network. It was like $7, so I was like, you know what, for $7, it was kind of like that cost per dollar, that, you know, amount of fun per dollar thing sort of came into my mind. And I was like, you know what, if it plays anything like the other Mass Effect games, for $7, even if I get 20 hours of ridiculous nonsense out of it, you know, that's probably worth it, I think. And it was worth it. It was definitely worth $7. I'll give it that. It wasn't bad enough to where I was like, this game is so hateable, $0 is too expensive. No, I thought $7 was a fair price to pay for this game. Because holy macaroni. It's not good. It's not good. And that makes me really sad because Mass Effect is one of my favorite video game franchises. There was a good period of time where I had considered, and actually I still haven't completely negated the possibility, I still haven't completely put this out of my mind that I'm going to get N7 tattooed on my pectoral, and I'm calling it a pec. Once I have pecs, to put N7 right there, like I think that's still very much in play. So to see this game come out, and the problems that I have with it specifically are extra disappointing based on the series pedigree. The main point, just to keep us from being here all day, the original Mass Effect trilogy, from the minute you booted up the first Mass Effect, when you went to that first mission on Eden Prime, you knew that the entire series was going to be building up to a final confrontation with the Reapers. They were introduced, and you knew that was the end. That's endgame right there, as these guys, right? Now, you can say whatever you want about the Mass Effect 3 endings, and I have. But that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. They're your main bad guy, set up in the first game. Third game that's it. We're done. We've gone through this story. Mass Effect Andromeda introduces a villain, and he's such a pushover fuckboy, and he means nothing, and he builds to nothing, and that's truly what is the most disappointing, is the fact that Mass Effect Andromeda didn't build to anything. It had an interesting story, and it had an interesting, I shouldn't say story, I should say premise, of, it had like the perfect thing that you could do, where you're like, we want to kind of start over, but kind of keep some of the same things. Okay, let's just take a bunch of the races, and they're all fucking off to another galaxy, brand new planets to explore, and you'd think, like, that's perfect. That's exactly what you should do. A bunch of the races, we already know how they operate. If we're fans of Mass Effect, we know how these guys work. We'd just take that exact same concept and bring it over to this new galaxy and see how those characters interact with brand new situations. We've got an interesting thing here, but that's not what they did. Instead, it just felt like they came up with the most basic hindrances. So, like, I'll give you a great example. Like, when you first start off the game, one of the first planets you go to, they try and do, like, environmental hazards for every single planet. They're like, okay, these planets are ultimately livable. Like, we could live on these planets, but they've got, like, weird things about them that make them inhospitable. Like, it's too hot, or it's too cold, or it rains too much. It's all, like, When I was playing this game and I was like, oh great, another desert planet that's too hot. Sweet. And so you have to go through these missions where you activate these like subterranean vaults and that makes the weather better. I knew it was going to be disappointing, but even knowing that I was still disappointed. Pokemon Quest. Man, fuck this game. Oh my god. You know something, ladies and gentlemen, I am a stupid man, okay? Don't let anybody tell you that I'm like a smart guy who knows what he's doing. I'm really not. I am, holy crap, am I laughably stupid for throwing 60 hours plus. I say 60, I lost track. 60 hours plus I dumped into Pokemon Quest. And I spent real-world money on Pokemon Quest because I am an idiot. But, my only defense is that you need to. You need to spend money in order to succeed in Pokemon Quest because you have to spend money in order to get the extra cooking pots. And if you're not running 4 cooking pots, you're fucked. Here's how it gets you. There's so much dice roll that's working to screw you in this game. It is absolutely ridiculous because, you see, what you do is you find, when you go through the little missions, when your Pokemon, occasionally, they'll kill other Pokemon, and then they give you food ingredients, and you use those food ingredients and you put them in the cooking pot. And depending on what ingredients you put in determines the type of Pokemon you get, and you can also change whether or not it is like a common Pokemon or if it's like a rare Pokemon based on the quality of the recipe you use to make them. And it's a gotcha, basically. It's a gotcha game because you'll put in a great recipe, but there's still a little tiny chance you're just gonna get one of them random, like, oh great, I'm so excited, I got another Rattata. Ooh, this one knows Tail Whip. Ho ho ho. And it doesn't know anything else? Sweet. You spend so much time going through these missions, getting food ingredients, cooking them, going on more missions to decrease the amount of time it takes for the recipe to cook. That attracts your new Pokemon, and then you have to train them and make them better, and you realize as you're going through all these missions, you're never strong enough to deal with any of this, so you have to just keep catching more of these things, making your guy stronger so that maybe you have a shot. It is ridiculous, and as you start to go through all of the missions, you'll realize how difficult this really is. Like, as you get to, like, World 10 and, like, the final world, you realize just like, oh my god, I completed the Pokedex, okay? I want you to understand that. I completed the Pokedex. I caught multiple Articuno, multiple Zapdos, multiple Mewtwo, because that's a thing, because that can happen. I think I had a shiny Mewtwo at one point. I don't know, I'd have to get my Switch and look. But I had level 100 Mewtwo, and he wasn't shit. He got obliterated. And it's like, what do you even do? Because even if you try and like change their move, because there's a thing where you're like, oh, if you're not happy with the moveset of your Pokemon, you know what you could do? You could, you go into this little training thing here, and if you put in similar typed or the exact same Pokemon, that increases your percentage of changing a move entirely, and you could get a better move maybe. And I did that, and the first time I had a pretty decent physical attack that did a good amount of damage and did splash damage. So I was like, this is a good move. And I was like, but I knew from my Pokemon knowledge that there is an in fact stronger move that exists in Pokemon. I figured, well, okay, if I do the training again, I will get that stronger move. So I did, and I got fucking Tail Whip or whatever, one of those like nonsense it's not even gonna bother with it moves, like Haze. And I was like, this game can go eat shit. That's why I can't play these free-to-play mobile economy games, because they get me every time. Because I put money into Fire Emblem Heroes too. I actually stopped playing that because I was a bad boy. I was playing it on my work phone. I was playing that game on my work phone, and then I got fired from that job, and I don't have that work phone anymore, so there goes all that. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm done with this game forever. Goodbye. Fucking level 30 Roy that was just running through everybody I ever faced. Music. Really quickly, you know I'm going to be talking about rock and roll, metal kind of stuff. There's some great albums. Let's go. Legend of the Seagullman's self-titled album, really good. Check out the song Ships Wrecked. I'm going to kind of give you a song to check out, too, to see if it's something you'd be interested. Red Sun Rising, Thread is the name of the album. Check out the song Death Wish. Some old standbys had some really great stuff this year. Andrew WK's You Are Not Alone. I really loved the song The Party Never Dies. Check that out. Ember, Breaking Benjamin. I'm glad that they improved over... What was it? Dark Before Dawn was the last one. This one is so much better. Like, the sequence of Feed the Wolf, Red Cold River, and Tourniquet, that's such a great sequence. 3 Days Grace's new album, The Outsider, was excellent. I really liked Infrared. That was probably my favorite song on that album. Check out Under Oath's new album was really, really good. I love that song, Rapture. I can't get it out of my head. Who else? Between the Buried and Me did a two-parter called Automata. Both parts really good. I like part 2 a little bit better. There's a 14-minute long song called The Proverbial Bellow, which is so good. Please check that band out. My fave of the year, man, it's how do I not give it to Prequel by Ghost? Anybody who knows me well enough probably saw that coming, and don't let the gimmicks behind them make you think that they are, as the random man in the airport mumbled at me as I walked by him in my Ghost t-shirt, devil music. Check out the song, check out Miasma, check out Rats, check out Faith, check out Dance Macabre. They are way more than that. Oh shit! A Perfect Circle! Oh my god, Eat the Elephant was great too. Like, every single track on that album was wonderful. Oh, how do I not give favorite of the year to that? And also, Coheed and Cambria's Unheavenly Creatures was really good. Oh, music was so good! Oh, it was such a good year for music. Check out everything I've said, though. It was all really good. Oh shit, V-Reunion. I gotta stop. I'm just gonna keep listing albums. The V-Reunion's Decade 2. Also, really good stuff, man. Metal Church. I gotta... There's one more section. We're almost done. Can I throw in one more? Can I throw in one? Would anybody be upset with me if I throw in one more? Huh? Seven Dust? All I See Is War? Get that one in there. All really good. Movies. So when picking a movie for 2018 to kind of classify as like my favorite, I was between 4. Where I had like the most internal debate of, well, did I like this one more? Did I like that one more? There were 4. Annihilation, Isle of Dogs, You Were Never Really Here, and Upgrade. Obviously, Upgrade is the odd man out. It wasn't that one. That one I was able to eliminate pretty quickly. Isle of Dogs I loved, but, you know, that one's... I eliminated that one too. So that left You Were Never Really Here and Annihilation. I wrote a sci-fi novel. I'm really into sci-fi horror. It was Annihilation. I loved Annihilation. It was such a good movie. It is exactly... Annihilation is a movie that was made for me, basically. Like, when I saw the trailer for Annihilation, I think at the end, instead of saying, like, oh, this is whatever of the MPAA, it said, hey, Chris, how you doing, man? It's been a while since we've talked, but I just wanted to let you know, here's a movie called Annihilation. We made it for you. And then I saw it, and I loved it, because it was made for me. When I was trying to look at this objectively, like, objectively, what was my favorite movie? I think it has to go to the one that I want to interact with the most outside of viewing it. Like, those other movies I liked, and I wanted to see again, but this movie I've seen again, want to see it a third time, and also I want to check out the books it's based on, so it kind of had no choice but to give it to Annihilation was my favorite movie of 2018. Check it out! The Incredibles 2. Now what could he possibly be saying about this movie? Well, I saw a lot of good movies in 2018, I saw a lot of bad movies in 2018, but I also saw a lot of disappointing movies in 2018, ones that let me down, and I don't think any movie has sort of exponentially let me down in the same way Incredibles 2 did. And that's a very harsh sentence, and allow me to clarify. When I say it exponentially let me down, I mean the more I think about The Incredibles 2, the more disappointing I sort of find it. So when I first got out of the theater after seeing Incredibles 2, I was in sort of a passive state of, that was alright. Or, you know, yeah, it was good. I mean, it was Pixar, so at worst it's competent. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've thought, you know, that movie really had no passion in it. Like, it felt like nothing to me. Like, everything about it, like, why is it that it's been 14 years and everybody's so excited for The Incredibles 2, and we are living in a world where the superhero movies are the biggest things going, right? Like, people keep saying, oh, the superhero fatigue, and I was like, but superhero movies were the top 5 grossing movies of 2018, so apparently people aren't tired enough. Superhero movies are really good, too. Like, just this year we had, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp was really good. Avengers was really good. People liked Aquaman for whatever fucking reason. Black Panther was really good. We have all these really good superhero movies, so Incredibles 2 needed to step its game up, and it didn't. Instead, all the characters have regressed or are just repeating the same arcs that they had in the first movie. Like, why is there a role reversal with Helen and Mr. Incredible? Like, why is Helen having the exact same Reliving the Glory Days arc that Bob had in the first movie? Like, we've already been here. Like, why are you going to do the exact same thing if you're just going to set it, like, a day and a half after the first movie ended? Also, it just doesn't sound good that it's taking place the next day, when in real-world time it's been 14 years. You can hear the 14 years of age on Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter. They sound older. It comes across in their deliveries like they sound old and tired. And if you're gonna retain the same cast, and they sound so old, why not just make them old in the movie? Like, there's so many interesting stories you could do with these same characters, but to have them be older to the point where they're different, they're the same character, but they're older, so they have different conflicts. I feel like that would have been way more interesting to, you know, maybe have an adult Violet who has a kid of her own, Dash as, like, a teenager who's, like, he's a teenager, and you have Jack who's the little kid, and everybody's gone on these different... Everybody's going their different ways, but since he was so much younger than all the others, he's got it really different. And, you know, Helen and Bob have gone through life. They're superheroes. You know, they've raised 3 children. They're fucking tired. And now they have Jack who's sort of coming into his own as a person, and now they've got to deal with his, you know, preteen years or early teen years. Like, there's interesting things, but instead it's the next day. And why did they do it? Oh, because Jack's as funny as a baby. He's fighting with a raccoon. It's gonna be hilarious, because he's a baby. And we're selling this movie to babies. Winchester. Winchester, was this your least favorite movie of the year? No. No, I honestly, I don't even know what my least favorite movie of the year is. I'd have to, like, really, really delve into it. I saw a lot of bad stuff. It would probably... Honestly, it would probably be Corbin and Ash might have been my least favorite movie of the year, but honestly, it doesn't matter. The reason why I want to talk about Winchester is because it was one of the movies I was disappointed in again. Not exponentially like The Incredibles 2, but this one was kind of disappointing in that the Winchester house is such an interesting, true story. Like, it's just weird and creepy on its own. Like, it's perfectly exploitable for crappy horror movies. And there's some interesting elements that they do bring up in Winchester, the movie. And I was like, well, they got Helen Mirren and they got Jason Clarke, and those two are, in fact, legitimate actors. That might raise the quality a little bit. And I could put those qualms to fucking bed, let me tell you. I liked a lot of the elements they brought up, like the fact that Jason Clarke played like a psychiatrist and he's there to check on... Helen Mirren played Mrs. Winchester, and he was there to, like, check on her mental state, but he's on acid. I shouldn't laugh, because he's on acid because he's dealing with the loss of his own, his dead wife. And I just thought the idea of the psychiatrist being addled, I thought was an interesting take, and I think that the true-to-life story is interesting too, and you can meld those together, and you got an interesting thing going on, and they just kind of dropped the ball. Like, they had, like, an antagonist ghost, and he was just sort of grumpy. I was like, I don't even remember, like, what his beef was. Like, he was, like I said, I think he was just kind of grumpy. He was like, get out of my fucking house. I think if it had had another pass in the writing room, he probably could have made something better out of it. And I still think that the Winchester story is... I still think you can get a great movie out of that story. Even if it's just a biopic, I think you could get something out of it. And keep Helen Mirren, because she's definitely the best part. Oh my god. You know, I plan on doing these things, like, every single year. I've been planning on, like, I've had scripts written for year-end videos for like the last 5 years now. I've had them planned, and I never go through with them, or I get to like a certain point in the scripting phase, and I just never record them because I procrastinate for too long. Other things come up, and I just never get around to them. But this year I was like, yeah, 2019, it's a new me, damn it. I'm gonna actually do it. And shockingly, I've been recording now for maybe an hour, and I got a lot of footage that I gotta go through, because this was just like a completely off-the-cuff mess. Like, I don't even know why I bothered spending all that time writing a script. I might as well have just put bullet points, because that's basically what I did. So if you've stayed through this whole thing, man, good for you. Rambling must really be your niche. Yeah, that's basically what I thought about everything. So, thank you for watching. Happy 2019. Goodbye 2018. We never really liked you anyway.